Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in and welcome to the second episode of the dark side of Flair Competitions. I'm Rodrigo Delpech and today I'm going to talk to you about the IBA and why a Delpech will never win that competition. So we're going to go to 2009, Berlin. I always wanted to compete and represent Argentina officially. I always represent Argentina competing, but for the IBA specifically, you have one competitor per country. So that was my chance of actually represent Argentina. I've been trying to go to Argentina and try to qualify. They wouldn't let me for many years. They wanted to send somebody that lived in Argentina because they don't have the opportunity to go and compete outside of Argentina often. So they always wanted to send somebody that is actually living in Argentina. Finally, in 2009, they gave me the chance. So I went and compete. I got lucky enough to make it and win the first place. Now, the qualify in Argentina was very close to the deadline of us sending the cocktail recipe for the IBA World Finals. The competition was on a Sunday and we had to send it on a Monday. So they wanted to send my recipe, the one that I used for that competition back in Buenos Aires. It was a simple drink, so I didn't want to use it. We asked for an extension and we got it. So I had a couple of weeks to work on the cocktail. I went back to Miami. That's where I was living at the time. Went back to Miami and started working on the recipe. I sent it to the president of the Argentinian Association. He sent it to them. They approved it by email. I contacted the president of the Flair side of it. And he approved it. Like, he told me it's fine, everything is good. So I was like, okay, perfect. I'll see you there. I go to Berlin, go to the meeting before the competition where you pick the numbers of how you're gonna go on stage. Pick my number from Argentina, it's the A, so I was one of the first ones to grab the numbers. They gave me this book where all the cocktails from all the competitors, you can find it there, And my recipe, it was missing one ingredient. I was gonna use Sprite to top it off, and there was no Sprite. There was nothing, like no replacement. It was just an incomplete cocktail for me. So I went in and talked to them. I asked them, I was like, hey, what's going on? Like, my drink has Sprite, so I can still use Sprite, right? No, you gotta make it just like in the book. So whatever it says there, that's how you're gonna make it. I'm like, well, you guys approved it. We have the emails, we have everything. So why can't I just use it? Well, we don't have Sprite as a sponsor. Okay, can I use something to replace it? Can I use the club soda that you have? You have sodas. No, you gotta make it the way it's in the book. I'm like, well, you cannot tell me to compete in a cocktail competition with an incomplete cocktail. Like, you have no chance of making the finals. Well, it's up to you. If you don't want to do it, just don't do it. You either make it like that or you don't. I was like, okay. Back then I was even worse, and I was like, cool, awesome, thank you very much, but I'm not competing, and I walked away. I left the room. Associations from South America and Latin America specifically, they were supporting my decision. They were with me. They wanted to take their competitors out of the comp just because they didn't think it was right. They were showing support. I told them, hey, don't worry about it. Just go and do what you came to do. I do appreciate you supporting me. That means a lot. But don't do that because of me. I know it takes a lot for you to get there. Like, I knew how much it took for me to get there. So I was like, no. You go and compete. The president of the Argentina Association, he tried to convince me to compete. I explained that I didn't want to compete because obviously there was something wrong with it, with the whole thing. They approved it and then they changed it without telling us. So I didn't think that it was right for me to go and compete. I felt like it was personal. So I decided not to compete. The president from the IBA showed up after him and tried to convince me. He's like, use whatever you want. Use Sprite, use club soda, whatever you want to use, just, come back to the comp. I'm like, it's too late now, because it's not the same. Like, when you go compete and you don't have the crowd on your favor, it's fine. I'm fine with it. But when you don't have the organization, like, it's not that you don't have it in your favor, you have it against you. There's nothing you can do. I don't feel comfortable competing like that. I don't feel comfortable by going, and obviously, like, I don't support the competition at all. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna compete. I'm sorry, thank you very much, I appreciate it. Because that happened, they asked my brother, which, if you don't know him, Christian Delpech, 19-time world champion. They asked him to judge the finals. He was not part of the judges panel. They asked him to judge, in my opinion, to try to fix it, because it looked really bad. So they asked him, hey, can you go and judge? And he said yes, obviously. So he did it. Anyways, that guy, going back to my brother and the president of the IBA, the Flair part, when they met the first time, I think it was either, I want to say 2003, 4, but I don't know if it was like 2004, 2005. There was the competition here in the States, and my brother was representing the States. He never met the guy before. When the first time he saw him, this guy approached my brother, and right before the comp, he's like, I hope you enjoy second place. My brother's like, what? He's like, yeah, I hope you enjoy second place. Obviously, after the competition, my brother took second. And he was like, why would he say that? And then, he had a couple of bad experiences with the IBA. There was always something wrong. They're known for changing rules last minute. They go and change from 7 minutes to 5 minutes, 5 minutes to 6 minutes. They will tell you can use unlabeled bottles for the juices, and then they're like, nope, last minute, you gotta use an open container for the juices. So there was always something. I went back in 2013, I went to Bulgaria, and I went to represent US this time. The experience was a little bit different, and I actually enjoyed the competition. I had a great time. I made a rookie mistake in the finals that cost me probably first place for what they were saying. And it was just, it was just fine. It was my mistake. However, before the finals, we had a meeting. In the qualifier, it was 5 minutes. For the finals, there was 6 minute round. So when we had this meeting, one of the competitors, he asked, hey, this guy from Taiwan, he say, I only have 5 minutes. Is that okay if I do 5 minutes? They're like, sure, you can do 5 minutes. You can do 2 minutes if you want. But they agreed that they were not gonna they were not gonna judge him, the same as us doing 6 minutes, because you have an extra minute. If he does 5 minutes and we do 6 minutes, we have an extra minute to have drops, spills, breaks, missing ingredients, wrong ingredients. You know, we can make a lot of mistakes in 60 seconds. So they were like, cool, you can do 5 minutes, but for sure you're not gonna be judged the same, on the same level. They agreed to that. The competition happened and the guy from Taiwan wins. So when that happened, a couple of the competitors are like, hey, and even they came to talk to me. I'm like, hey, I'm just competing here. I'm not part of the organization, but I'm right there with you. Like, I agree with you. If they say that they were not gonna judge him on the same level, they shouldn't. If you ask me, as a personal opinion, I think that the guy from Czech Republic should have won the competition with a killer round, great drink. He was just amazing. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he finished in third, which I was surprised that I beat him. I didn't think I beat him. But it was just like, it's always something with them. You know, I hear stories. People keep on telling me stories about the IBA. And the funny thing, and the reason why I say that a Delpech will never win an IBA, is not because I'm just saying it. They have a meeting every year after the competition, in whatever place they have the comp. It was in Poland when they had this meeting, and the president, the same president that told my brother, enjoy your second place, and the same president that told me to make an incomplete cocktail, he said in front of everybody, a Delpech will never win a competition. And as you can see so far, we did it. It is frustrating to go to compete knowing that they're gonna do everything so you don't finish in first. But if you know me and if you know my brother, we didn't care. For me, it's just another challenge. It's extra motivation, and for him as well. So we tried, and you never know, you know, maybe one day. But it's just frustrating that things like that happen, and specifically with the IBA, it happens so often in the past. I'm just happy that a lot of people that they used to manage the IBA, they're no longer with them. There's new people, and it's great. I actually really like that, and you know, hopefully I get one more chance to compete, and maybe one day I can actually represent Argentina in the IBA. That would be actually a dream come true. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you like this story, and I see you next week with more dark side of Flair competitions. Bye.